Nantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 4, Text 8. Nunam Bhagavato Brahman, Nunam Bhagavato Brahman, Harer Adbhuta Karmanaha, Harer Adbhuta Karmanaha, Durvibhyavam Ivabhati, Durvibhavyam Ivabhati. Kavibhishchapi cheshtitam, Kavibhishchapi cheshtitam, Nunam Bhagavato Brahman, Nunam Bhagavato Brahman, Harer Adbhuta Karmanaha, Harer Adbhuta Karmanaha, Durvibhavyam Ivabhati, Durvibhavyam Ivabhati. Kavibhishchapi cheshtitam, Kavibhishchapi cheshtitam, Nunam Bhagavato Brahman, Nunam Bhagavato Brahman, Harer Adbhuta Karmanaha, Harer Adbhuta Karmanaha, Durvibhavyam Ivabhati, Durvibhavyam Ivabhati, Kavibhishchapi cheshtitam, Kavibhishchapi cheshtitam, Nunam Bhagavato Brahman, Harer Adbhuta Karmanaha, Durvibhavyam Ivabhati, Kavibhishchapi cheshtitam, Nunam Bhagavato Brahman, Harer Adbhuta Karmanaha, Durvibhavyam Ivabhati, Kavibhishchapi cheshtitam, Nunam Bhagavato Brahman, Harer Adbhuta Karmanaha, Durvibhavyam Ivabhati, Kavibhishchapi cheshtitam, Nunam Bhagavato Brahman, Harer Adbhuta Karmanaha, Durvibhavyam Ivabhati, Kavibhishchapi cheshtitam. Nunam, still insufficient. Bhagavata, of the personality of Godhead. Brahman, O learned Brahmana. Hare, of the Lord. Adbhuta, wonderful. Karmanaha, one who acts. Durvibhavyam, inconceivable. Iva, like that. Abhati, appears. Kavibhihi, even by the highly learned. Cha, also. Api, in spite of. Cheshtitam, being endeavored for. Translation. O learned Brahmana, the transcendental activities of the Lord are all wonderful, and they appear inconceivable, because even great endeavors by many learned scholars have still proved insufficient for understanding them. Purport. The acts of the Supreme Lord in the creation of just this one universe appear inconceivably wonderful, and there are innumerable universes, and all of them aggregated together are known as the created material world. And this part of his creation is only a fractional portion of the complete creation. The material world stands as a part only, ekam shena sthito jagat. Supposing that the material world is a display of one part of his energy, the remaining three parts consist of the Vaikuntha Jagat, or spiritual world described in the Bhagavad Gita as Madhama or Sanatana Dhamma, or the eternal world. We have marked in the previous verse that he creates and again winds up the creation. This action is applicable only in the material world because the other, greater part of his creation, namely the Vaikuntha world, is neither created nor annihilated. Otherwise, the Vaikuntha Dhamma would not have been called eternal. The Lord exists with Dhamma. His eternal name, quality, pastimes, entourage, and personality are all a display of his different energies and expansions. The Lord is called Anadi, or having no creator, and Adi, or the origin of all. We think in our own imperfect way that the Lord is also created, but the Vedanta informs us that he is not created. Rather, everything else is created by him. Narayana paro vyaktat. Therefore, for the common man, these are all very wonderful matters for consideration. Even for great scholars, they are inconceivable, and thus such scholars present theories contradictory to one another. Even for the insignificant part of his creation, this particular universe, they have no complete information as to how far this limited space extends, or how many stars and planets are there, or the different conditions of those innumerable planets. Modern scientists have insufficient knowledge of all this. Some of them assert that there are 100 million planets scattered all over space. In a news release from Moscow dated February 21st, 1960, the following piece of knowledge was relayed. Russia's well-known professor of astronomy, Boris Vorontsov-Velimianov, said that there must be an infinite number of planets in the universe inhabited by beings endowed with reason. It could be that life similar to that on Earth flourishes on such planets. Doctor of Chemistry Nikolai Zirov, covering the problem of atmosphere on other planets, pointed out the organisms of a Martian, for instance, could very well adapt to normal existence with a low body temperature. He said that he felt that the gaseous composition of Martian atmosphere was quite suitable to sustain life of beings which have become adapted to it. This adaptability of an organism to different varieties of planet is described in the Brahma Samhita as Vibhuti Bhinnam. Each and every one of the innumerable planets within the universe is endowed with a particular type of atmosphere, and the living beings there are more perfectly advanced in science and psychology because of a better atmosphere. Vibhuti means scientific powers, and Bhinnam means variegated. Scientists who are attempting to explore outer space and are trying to reach other planets by mechanical arrangement must know for certain that organisms adapted to the atmosphere of Earth cannot exist in the atmosphere of other planets. Easy journey to other planets. One has to prepare himself, therefore, to be transferred to a different planet after being relieved of the present body, as it is said in the Bhagavad Gita. Yanti deva vrata devan pitran yanti pitra vrataha bhutani yanti bhutejya yanti mad yajino pimam. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. And those who worship me will live with me. Maharaj Parikshit's statement regarding the workings of the creative energy of the Lord discloses that he knew everything of the process of creation. Why then did he ask Shukdev Goswami for such information? Maharaj Parikshit, being a great emperor, a descendant of the Pandavas, and a great devotee of Lord Krishna, was quite able to know considerably about the creation of the world, but that much knowledge was not sufficient. He said, therefore, that even greatly learned scholars fail to know about that, even after great effort. The Lord is unlimited, and his activities are also unfathomed. With a limited source of knowledge and with imperfect senses, any living being, up to the standard of Brahmaji, the highest perfect living being within the universe, can never imagine knowing about the unlimited. We can know something of the unlimited when it is explained by the unlimited, as has been done by the Lord himself in the unique statements of the Bhagavad Gita. And it can also be known to some extent from realized souls like Shukdev Goswami, who learned it from Vyasadeva, a disciple of Narad. And thus the perfect knowledge can descend by chain of disciplic succession only, and not by any form of experimental knowledge, old or modern. And again the translation. O learned Brahmana, the transcendental activities of the Lord are all wonderful, and they appear inconceivable because even great endeavors by many learned scholars have still proved insufficient for understanding them. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha Vanchakalpaturubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are reading again this in second canto of Bhagavatam, and this is following on from the previous text describing how karoti vikaroti, how Krishna again, he manifests and then he unmanifests everything. And to understand such a thing, to understand the nature of the world is a question of knowledge and how to obtain knowledge. And really interesting, this purport is, Srila Prabhupada is quoting here these various scientists, these various Russian scientists, dated from the 1960s, quite a while ago. And he quotes them as a source of authority. Not that any of these people were, as Prabhupada mentions here, well known. Boris Vorontsov-Liminov was well known at the time, and his words were considered to have rather great value. But these words and this scientist himself have been forgotten. Who knows of him anymore? Maybe he could have been said to be well known in the 1960s, but today what do we know of him? He is gone, and his ideas have largely faded away. He is maybe a footnote somewhere in a history book somewhere. This is the nature of the knowledge he is proposing. It is not coming in any sort of line, as Prabhupada mentions at the end of this purport, a disciplic succession. No, instead, this is just the rambling speculations of one insignificant man whose insignificant ideas are to be forgotten, disputed. These ideas are not accepted, but challenged. They are offered within an arena of challenge, and then people will disagree. They are frogs. We know the frog in the well analogy Prabhupada so often uses, that the frog in his well thinks that the well is the beginning and end of his entire existence, and therefore he so proudly says this, that he is such an expert. Well, these are multiple frogs in one well arguing about the bricks in the wall. And maybe some are saying they're red, others are saying no, they're brown. Some are saying, oh, maybe they're made of mud. Others are saying maybe they're made of whatever bricks are made out of. Cement. But this is all just nonsense. It's all just, again, it's a bunch of barking dogs. It's how Srila Prabhupada would often describe the many quarrels and disagreements of people on a mundane platform. And all of this knowledge is faulty by necessity, not even because of the standard criticism we have for mundane knowledge being faulted by imperfect senses, a cheating propensity, the ability to make mistakes, and of course the ability to be illusioned. But furthermore, they are based upon a worldview that rejects the basic assumptions of the Veda. We know there are 6 Astika schools, there are 6 bona fide schools, so as to speak, of Vedic thought. There's Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Yoga, Sankhya, Mimamsa, and then Vedanta. These are Astic, which is to be considered orthodox. They are within the pale of reason. We know Mahaprabhu was a great scholar of Nyaya in Navadvip before manifesting his pastimes, the Sankirtan, the Prema Sankirtan pastimes. So these are the 6 Astika schools, and what gives them their veracity, what makes them considered Astic, orthodox? Well, it is their mutual acknowledgement of the Vedic corpus. Maybe they will have different interpretations of it, but they accept this higher authority of perfect knowledge. What makes a Gnostic school, an unorthodox school, a school outside the pale of reason, Jainism, Buddhism, the Charvakas, etc.? It is their rejection of the Vedic corpus, their rejection of the Vedas, and so on and so forth. So, by necessity, these ideas reflect a worldview, a perception of reality that runs contrary to reason, or at least to common sense. But it does not run contrary to notions of ahankar, to notions of false ego, to notions of pride. It is pride only that makes one say that they themselves will be able to conclude as to the actual nature of things through their own thought processes and argumentation. And so speaking so wonderfully to the pride of the many materialistic people, such methods and methodologies are adopted. But the worldviews themselves are inherently bad. And this is why Srila Prabhupada put so much emphasis on chastising the devotees. Prabhupada would say, when we kick when we beat with our boot the nonsense ideas of the scientists, then we are making progress in spiritual life. Not necessarily because all scientists are evil, although Srila Prabhupada did have some rather harsh words to say about some of them, like Darwin and his associates, attributing a rather demonic status to them. But it is because the worldview that they espouse is one inherently a product of, again, our natural rebellious tendency, our desire to lord it over creation. And therefore to stamp this out must be central to our devotion, because our devotion, the point of our devotional service is to stop seeing ourselves so high. We hear, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Doya Koramore in that bhajan. The prayer of the pure devotee is not, oh, I am so great, Mahaprabhu, I have earned your mercy. It is because of your nature of being Patita Pavana, because you are most merciful unto the sinners, therefore I am qualified. My qualification is my depravity. Of course, how can we say this is true of the great sadhu who had written such a bhajan? But that is the humble perception. So such worldviews must be kicked out, firstly because they do not speak to the humility which is necessary for any progress among the bhakti marg, among the path of devotion, but also because they reject the first step of true knowledge, acceptance of the Veda. Veda itself, of course, means knowledge. They reject the acceptance of the only reliable knowledge that we have in the world. So does man. But these worldviews, and then of course, so Prabhupada would often pull them apart. And these worldviews, they pop up, all sorts of ideologies appear in the world. Some of them may seem to be conducive to the values that the Vedic literature espouses. movements like veganism and so on and so forth, while somewhat misguided, milk is a necessary part of society, come from a come from a place that we can very much empathize with from a Shastric perspective. Of course, the suffering of the many cows in these industries is horrendous and heartbreaking. And then that's even in the dairy industry, what to speak of the many animals being slaughtered. And then, of course, there may be movements that were more prominent in Srila Prabhupada's time, such as the anti-racism, the civil rights movement. You know, what a great movement in order to tell people to stop discriminating on something as simple and on something as unpertaining to one's true identity as their body. Or and then you might have other movements like the anti-war movement. Srila Prabhupada stayed, however, very neutral on these, in a sense. Not that Srila Prabhupada supported racism, not that Srila Prabhupada supported the war, although he wasn't, the Vietnam War, although he wasn't exactly that antithetical to it. But the problem with these sort of ideologies is that they still pop up based on materialistic assumptions. And while they may lead to sattvic conclusions, or in many cases they may not, we can see the results of the sexual revolution especially, I think, is less than sattvic. It's less than human to begin with. But all of these, they are all faulted by the fact that they are built upon materialist assumptions. The first part of our thought process should be, what does Shastra say? Not what does our mind conclude about the nature of ethics and morality. And then this can be a problem, because if we do not train ourselves necessarily in thinking Shastra Chakshus, to see through the eyes of Shastra, and instead we train our minds to see through the eyes of these various ideologies, humans will naturally gravitate towards ideology. Because all that an ideology is it's a worldview. And a worldview is a means by which we ascertain order and reason to the world that we are experiencing. It is a mechanism, a lens by which all the things we see and experience and act in around us can be understood. Without such a thing, people go mad. Everyone has a worldview to some extent. And the problem can be if we do not train our worldview to be that which is the Shastra Chakshush, the worldview built upon seeing through the eyes of Shastra, then we build up a worldview based on the assumptions of our mind. And what can we say of the mind? Again, it speaks to that same ahankaric principle which underlines the pursuit of the scientists here in this purport. We will say, oh, I think this is fine, I think this is wrong. People might say, out of so many things, Prabhupada uses the example of cow dung being antiseptic. People might say, I don't see how this is possible. But again, they're thinking again within the means of their mind. I don't see what the damage of this could be, Prabhu. I don't see what the problem with this is. It doesn't matter if you see the problem. It doesn't matter if you see it. What matters is if Shastra acknowledges the problem. What matters is if the divine and perfect and eternal revelation of the Vedas, Shruti or Smriti, it matters if they see an issue with it. We must first establish all our views through the eyes of Shastra. And that can be a problem. Sometimes we see, especially with new devotees, they'll be uncomfortable with some things. Maybe they'll be uncomfortable with the values of our ashram. Maybe they'll be uncomfortable with so many other things. Because again, they have not stopped trying to build on the initial assumptions of their worldviews, which they have carried with them. One of the anarthas is tucha ashakti, to remain attached to things. And they've remained attached to the worldviews which they had leading into devotional service. Another big one is nationalism. It is prajalpa to discuss excessively what is happening in governments, even if they are, for example, in India, today, we will see that there are parties, and some seem to be more favorable to Vedic culture, others seem not to be. Whether they actually are is totally irrelevant. It is still mundane politics, and as Prajalpa, nevertheless, to delve into too much, it is a waste of our meager and small time. And yet, nevertheless, people will hold on to these because there is an attachment to this worldview which they have so happily adopted. And many other things as well. Because the problem becomes some people maybe not so strongly focusing on spiritualizing their worldview will begin to view devotion within the lens of that material worldview. And so, because it is not that all conclusions of, say, the feminists or the vegans or the anti-war movement or the anti-racists or even in one sense even the patriots, it's not that every conclusion that they come to is wrong. Many of them are noble and admirable, but the means by which they come to are non-spiritual, and therefore are not only not cultivating that proper mood of surrender to the Vedas, and are not cultivating the proper thought process by which one can come to such conclusions. So one should see such ideologies through the lens of Shastra, and not Shastra through the lens of such ideologies. We see this now at university. I'm studying the various types of theology. We were looking at church history, and we were studying different perspectives. And I remember, that's why I was saying the categories of especially feminist and racist. They have these things called feminist theology, where they say, how can we read scripture in light of feminist ideals? Or how can we read scripture in light of anti-racist ideals? Which is, of course, the complete reverse of how things should be done. How can we read these movements within the light of Shastra, within Scripture? What does Scripture tell us about these? Not what do these ideologies tell us about Scripture? So, if these ideologies color our Krishna consciousness rather than letting our Krishna consciousness color that ideology, then there is that is not a very good thing. And therefore one, even if they are engaging in devotional service, may fall under the trap of traps of materialistic ideas which are not very beneficial. Because again, it doesn't actually matter in one sense what one says. We are reminded of Shishupal. And we know in 7th canto when Shishupal was killed by Krishna after speaking so many words of abuse towards him. All of these words of abuse were indirectly praise, but who can genuinely speak abuse of Krishna when discussing his qualities? But this attitude of constant abuse, and then Krishna killed Shishupal. Finally, he was dead. And Yudhishthira Maharaj was confused. But of course it was explained to him that actually it does what qualified Shishupal to such a great destination, to which is so undeserving, one might say, to one who is speaking so much abuse. So many yogis, they work so greatly. They work so greatly towards that goal of liberation. And yet, Shishupal is getting it through abusing the Supreme Lord? What a confusion. What a worrying concern. But there it is explained that it is not by words of abuse or words of praise that one may obtain liberation. That is not it. It is by absorption in the Supreme Lord. And of course the example of King Vena is used. King Vena, he blasphemed the Lord a lot, and yet when the Brahmanas did away with him, he didn't get liberation. He took a skyliner down to hell. Not exactly a spiritual one. His easy journey wasn't to the higher planets, it was to the lower ones. But because he was not absorbed in the Lord, but Shishupal was so constantly immersed in thoughts of Krishna, And of course, Prabhupada writes in his purport that we must not understand that this means, that we must understand that this is indirectly glorifying then those devotees who are absorbed in Krishna positively. If this is the benefit of being absorbed negatively, then what is the what is the glory then of those who are absorbed in him positively with devotion? Because it is not that it was anukulyena krishnanu shilanam bhakti ruttama. It wasn't pure devotion that Shishupal had, but it was absorption. And from there we see that the overall positive quality from something, in a sense, is not so much determined by the veracity of the conclusions, but by the absorption that it has in Krishna. Again, so these conclusions of many worldviews, maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong. But the fact that they are not coming from a mindset which is absorbed in Krishna, and in, again, the words of the unlimited, speaking the unlimited truth, because they are not coming from a thought process that is absorbed in Krishna, such a thought process is worthless, because it is a thought process absorbed in Krishna and in Krishna's teachings. And then, of course, in the literary form of Krishna, as we have in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is this that is beneficial in our spiritual life, not those things which are detached from the assumptions of the pure Lord. So again, this is the... and how can we get then that knowledge? Of course, it is passed through from parampara. And our parampara is passing through Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, of course our own spiritual masters connected to Srila Prabhupada. And parampara is very important. We receive mantras through parampara and other forms of knowledge, not just teachings, but esoteric things. And mantras, it is often said, a mantra handed down through something which is not a parampara is useless. There is no value in a mantra that does not come down in parampara. And some people, sometimes envious opponents to the reformatory work of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur will sometimes say, oh, so in ISKCON, your mantras, your Diksha mantras, they are not valid because pretty much it boils down to they are envious of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. But they will say, oh, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he did not present the Diksha Guru Parampara of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, and the reason why he didn't is because Gaur Kishore Das Babaji did not initiate him. They will say like this, nonsense. But just like any other challenge to our parampara, such challenges are bogus and unfounded. The Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur initiated, before he took sannyas, I forgot when he initiated his first disciple, but he initiated before Bhaktivinoda Thakur and before Gaura Das Babaji left our vision. If that is true, then surely he must have been initiated. Because why? Otherwise they would have objected. Maybe some may say, well, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, he was a Paramahamsa Avadhut. He did not care for such things. Well, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who was also a Paramahamsa, not to get it wrong, but Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who was so happily condemning anyone doing nonsense, who was so strongly reforming the Gauriya community, surely he would have chastised and prevented his own son. Initiating without initiation is a very severe problem. So, merely by this fact, one can understand that such accusations are nonsense and produced only by envious minds who are blaspheming great devotees of the Lord. Furthermore, as a later point of clarification, one might say, just completely out of character, Bhaktivinoda Thakur may have not wanted to cause a public dispute. Again, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is not one to avoid public dispute. But maybe one may say that. However, one of the prominent and intimate disciples of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, His Grace Jagadish Prabhu, would later be known as Bhakti Pradip Tirtha Maharaj. the first sannyas disciple of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And in fact, Bhaktivinoda Thakur had, I forgot exactly which mantras, but I think Guru Gayatri at the very least, if I remember correctly, at least in Gora Gayatri, quite a few of the Gayatri mantras, Bhaktivinoda Thakur asked Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur to give to Jagadish Prabhu, because Jagadish Prabhu had a very intimate relation with Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Furthermore, this shows an authorization of our sannyas parampara. Some people, they would say, when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur took sannyas, they would say, you have deviated from Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was a supporter of Babaji Vesh, none of this saffron business. But actually, again, we find in this personality, Jagadish Prabhu. Jagadish Prabhu, when he went to Srila Gaur Das Babaji, Das Babaji actually blessed him and said, you will take saffron. So there we have an account, at the least, of Gaur Das Babaji authorizing it. But furthermore, why would an intimate disciple who had already been initiated by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, why would he take sannyas if it was not in line with the mood and wishes of Bhaktivinoda Thakur? Bhaktivinoda Thakur spoke of establishing Daiva Varnashram. The final ashram is sannyas. So such people are deluded to say such things. We find in the pastimes of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and his disciples clear evidence that our sannyas parampara is bona fide, it is authorized, it is legitimized through Bhaktivinoda Thakur's teachings, and also that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was without a doubt initiated, and his initiating was bona fide. Again, there was no objection from his spiritual masters. So the parampara, therefore, that we have is bona fide, and it is through that parampara that we receive these words of unlimited knowledge. It is not that we open Bhagavad Gita and have access to the unlimited nectar, again as Srila Prabhupada is saying, when the unlimited explains the unlimited. It must be received through the river of nectar that is Guru Parampara. So it is when we read Bhagavad Gita as it is, not the many Bhagavad Gitas as it is not, that are around. When it is that, then we can come to understand the conclusions which have passed through. So then, what do we understand? We see here the main description is that of the cosmology, of the various cosmologies. There's the Ekapad Vibhuti, the 1/4 of the Vibhuti, the material world, and then there is the Tripad Vibhuti, the threefold larger 3/4 of the spiritual domain. And here it is being described that we cannot understand these things, again, through such faulty worldviews. And even were we to understand some conclusions of it, some worldviews are corrupt in their inherent assumptions of sense gratification, of lust, of being built around the world of me and mine rather than you and yours, what we can do for Krishna. So, it is a discussion of understanding these cosmologies. And as we know, there are many speculations and many people have issues. They will read Bhagavatam and they'll say, oh, I can't accept this. I can't accept this explanation for the way the universe is constructed. I can't understand this. We have modern science to tell us so much. But again, as Prabhupada is saying here, modern science tells us many things. These ideas here, which were being spoken in 1960, are not ideas that are being promulgated. The name of Boris Vorontsov-Velyaminov is not a name that is held as having found any conclusions. All of these conclusions are shaking empty platform. So why should we be disturbed? Who are the scientists to speak on creation? Who are the scientists to speak on the very nature of existence compared to the person who has generated them, who has created it, or at least manifested it? In the Shrishti Lila, we know. One may say, well, it's Brahma. But that is only Visarga. But Sarga, the original manifestation, when Mahavishnu manifests the dormant Pradhana into Mahatattva, injecting it with the time factor and the jivas, All of this creation is being done through the agency of Paramatma. Karanodakashai Paramatma. And the supersoul of all material existence. So who are they then to challenge the account, the authority of Vishnu, the creator of all the cosmos? It's as if someone were to write a book. Actually, they do this in postmodern studies. An author may write a book and he will say, this is my book, this is what the book is about. And a scholar will say, no, actually, this book is about this, this, and this. Who is that scholar? Who is that person to try to explain to the author of such things what it is actually about? So we should rather connect. We should connect to the source of real knowledge. And the means by which we connect to the source of real knowledge, we know that the bhakti krama, the stages, the 9 stages of devotional service, what do they begin with? They begin with shraddha. And what do they end with? They end with prem. Prem is the fruition of shraddha. Why shraddha to begin with? Because shraddha is the seed form. If it is nurtured properly, shraddha will develop and then we will get prem. Not that shraddha is composed of prem. Of course we know prem is composed of shraddha in a sense. Prem is of course composed of bhava. But in that natural progression, prema shraddha begets prema. Because shraddha is the means, faith is the means by which we begin to connect. Via parampara, we place faith in parampara, and then we begin to connect with this knowledge until we can fully connect in the most meaningful way. Again, Krishna, in a sense, is ineffable. We cannot speak of him, not because there are no words to describe him, but because there are not enough words to describe him. We will not be able to, in our minds, capture all of this knowledge, but we can approach in love. This is the means by which we are designed to yoga, to link with the divine, through bhakti yoga, through prem. And that prem is the fruit of shraddha, which we must have in parampara and the Vedic literatures. And then they speak of cosmology. And what this cosmology they speak of is actually one that it has a relevant purport. One might say, oh, it is anthropocentric. That is what they'll say. It is revolving around a human. It is revolving around the human understanding of things. It is revolving around a human understanding of things that, the sun revolves around the earth. Of course, we know now scientists won't have a major issue with that because of their theories of relativity. But they'll say, this is anthropocentric. You are saying because you see the sun move around you, therefore you are saying the whole cosmos revolves around you. But really, it is the scientist who is anthropocentric. The devotee isn't saying that the cosmos revolves around the earth. Because the scientist is saying, well, I am the one who imbibes the world with meaning. I am the only one, my subjective experience of the cosmos, that is the experience by which the cosmos must be understood. The fundamental truth of the cosmos, of cosmology, is that which my mind procures. What human minds understand, that is the nature of the cosmos. That is anthropocentrism. That is a worldview that is built around humanity. The devotee himself, the central point is not, we are not concerned with Copernican revolutions. We know Copernicus, when he said, the heliocentric model, that maybe the earth is revolving around the sun. Such issues are not the central point of Bhagavatam cosmology. Bhagavatam's cosmology is to say that the whole universe is not revolving around humans, but it is revolving around Krishna. The center, that which everything revolves around, the center of the circle of all existence is Sri Krishna. And surrender to him. That is what we must do. The whole point of this cosmology is to make us realize that no, us and our perception of reality is not the be-all and end-all. We are not the givers of meaning. We are not the standard. Our perception of the world is not the standard by which its reality is ascertained. As the postmodernists and existentialists will say, we give meaning to a meaningless world. How arrogant, how anthropocentric, how great a claim. They take shelter in this idea that, oh no, we're not making a great claim about existence. We're making a claim of non-existence. No, this is the greatest and most arrogant idea that we can impose onto reality meaning and have it take substance. Rather, Bhagavatam cosmology says our experience is limited. Our experience itself does not have any bearing on the true nature of reality. And then furthermore, it says we ourselves are insignificant. We ourselves are not the center of the earth. Our solar system isn't, in a sense, the center of existence. Krishna is the center of all existence. And then how can we begin to understand this? There was the Copernican revolution. Well, then there was the revolution of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. By this revolution, we can begin to understand that Krishna himself is the centerpiece of the cosmos. Cosmology revolves around him. That pastime in which Vishnu manifests the material universe is called the Shrishti Leela. Shrishti, the creation Leela. This is when Vishnu manifests all existence and he creates it, as has been described here. Of course, not the spiritual existence, but the material, the Ekapada Vibhuti. This is Shrishti Leela. But in the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu was visiting, again he was returning to Jagannath Puri, and Maharaj Prataprudra, he was awaiting this with Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya. Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya, he told him, he said, Mahaprabhu, he is coming with an entourage of his devotees. And Maharaj Prataprudra, he said, very nice, I will prepare all the facilities for them. When they arrive, I will take care of them. And then he said, I would like to go up, I would like to have darshan of these great devotees. So they went up to the top, and Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya said, I will not be able to identify the devotees of the Lord for you, I do not know them. But we will bring with us Gopinathacharya, he knows them. So they brought them up, and when they went up to the top, and then they saw suddenly all these devotees coming, all the associates, and then all of them were being pointed out. There was Govinda and now I have forgotten. But Advaita Acharya was appearing, so wonderful. And Govinda and one of the other associates of Mahaprabhu took garlands and they placed 2 garlands on him. And Maharaj Prataprudra, he was so absorbed. How wonderful, how beautiful is this? He said, who is this personality with the 2 garlands? And it was explained to him, that is Advaita Acharya. And then he saw all these other personalities, and they were all pointed out to him. Murari Gupta, the 3 Ghosh brothers. Srivas Pandit, he was there as well. All these other many associates, long list, all these associates of Mahaprabhu coming. All of them rushing to greet. And Maharaj Prataprudra says, how great is this? He says, they are not coming to see the Jagannath. They are coming first to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then they will go with Mahaprabhu to see Jagannath. We can, yeah. Oh, actually I'm going over time. I won't go into the purport of that then. And so he's saying all these things, and he's seeing this, and he's bewildered by the beauty, and he says, it is as if I'm seeing the dawning of millions and millions of suns before me. And he said, the sound. And Maharaj Prataprudra, the area he was king of, was home to virtually every single religious and spiritual movement in India at the time. He had heard many spiritual sounds. And yet he still said, I have never heard sound so sweet. What is this beautiful, beautiful sound entering into my ears? My eyes are filled with beauty, and my ears are hearing sweetness that they have never heard before. It was outshining anything else before. And Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya Krishnadas Kaviraj Thakur says, Bhattacharya ko he e madhur bochon, this madhur, this sweet bochon, this sweet sound you are hearing. Chaitanyer shrishti e premo sankirtan. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's shrishti. This is the creation of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What is it? Prema Sankirtan. The Prema Sankirtan, not just any Sankirtan movement, not just any Kali Yuga, Yuga Dharma, but the Sankirtan imbued with Krishna Prem. This is the Shrishti of Mahaprabhu. And by this Shrishti, we can understand, by this creation, by this process of Prema Sankirtan, we can begin to understand the true nature of the cosmology, the true nature of all truth. Veda Vid Vedanta Krit. All the Vedas, all of it are revolving around Krishna. So all knowledge coming down by parampara, coming into Shastra, all cosmology revolving around the true center of Krishna, all of this, we can truly understand this through true knowledge, through the Prem Sankirtan. Through the Sankirtan, through the chanting of the holy names, through the preaching of Krishna's glories. And in that way, we may taste. Through the Sankirtan of the devotees, Shraddha is born. We cannot have Shraddha born within ourselves. And once Shraddha is born in ourselves, then we can engage in Sankirtan ourselves. And then through that Sankirtan, we will be purified. And eventually, we will then taste that prema, that final form, that conclusion of all knowledge. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.